You are listening to the Sod Pod, brought to you by Grassland Agro.
Hello, and welcome to the Sod Pods. Today I'm joined with Clodagh Bulger, and my name is Stephen Carey. Clodagh, how are you getting on?
I'm good, Stephen. How are you?
Oh, sure. Terrible, Clodagh. A bad start this morning now. Went to start today, right? Put the washing on, and the door fell clean off the washing machine.
Oh,
So
for God's sake.
there'll be no fresh shirt this weekend, unfortunately. But look, it's only up from here.
You must be
It's,
doing a pile of washing, Stephen.
look, sure. I was
Must
just
be a
trying to
bit
get geared up.
smelly or something.
Look, it could be that way for the weekend now by the look of it. But sure, look, it'll be all right. You had a good last weekend anyway, Claudia. You were away in Nashville. How
I
did
did,
that go?
Stephen. I was in Nashville for the bank holiday. Was back there. It was a Tuesday. Jeez, it was good all crack now, to be fair. What did we get up to over there? We went to a rodeo, which was very cool. We did a bit of line dancing and
That
America. Go on.
were you handy at the line dancing?
Uh, I wouldn't be the best teacher now, I would say. I'm kind of dance as if I have two left feet or something.
Right.
They had their work cut out for them now trying to teach me how to line dance. But we also did kind of American style horse riding as well, which was kind of cool. But
There's a different saddle, have there?
yeah, they've the American saddle over there. Jesus, way more comfortable.
Right. I wonder why they
Uh,
don't adopt that in Ireland.
I suppose in Ireland, what do they call it? The English saddle in Ireland. You have a lot of like hunting and I suppose show jumping and that. You couldn't really do that in
Oh,
a
okay.
American saddle, I suppose.
I
In
have you
America, I
now.
suppose it'd be a lot of like, what would you call it? Like ranching or something?
Ranching, cattle ranching,
Pardon?
yeah.
Yeah.
Herding, exactly, like Yellowstone. That was one of my favorite
Yeah, yeah.
shows.
Must actually watch Yellowstone. I haven't got around to it.
You were on a ranch, were you?
Yeah, we went out to see these, they're like the famous Longhorn cattle.
Yeah, yeah.
They, they're fair cool now. You'd wonder how they'd even get them up a crush now with the big long horns, like, but
Honest to
one
God.
question I have for you, Stephen, is it socially acceptable in Ireland to wear cowboy boots?
Um, well, I think it's started a bit already with concerts, but that's kind of a get out of jail free card. I could see it working in a tillage setup now during the summer, right? So stick with me here. So you're cutting corn, right? And you just stubble if you've ever been in a field of corn with a combine. And when you have your shorts on in the summertime, the stubble will be kind of rubbing against your legs and it'll be bothering you like. So I reckon the long cowboy boots could be excellent for that. But Mick Carey will be doing quite a laughing at you too. So my
You'll
father.
have to start a trend. Well, I'll
Look,
follow
I
on.
be
I'll
I
support
be
you.
someone has to start it, so they do. So if there's two of us in it, I think it could be the way forward.
Have to get
Um,
Grassland Agro branded cowboy boots.
Look, I think bring it across for all ATCs, and it'll be a real distinct look. An Octavia and a pair of cowboy boots.
Right, enough about Nashville. So, what did you get up to so while I was away, Stephen? Was there anything going on in Grassland?
A few things went on. Well, you were away, myself and a couple of my colleagues. We met with a company called Provi, and it was quite an interesting meeting. We're kind of looking at working together going forward. So, what Provi are is a satellite powered grass measurement service. So obviously the plate meter or doing it by eye has always been traditional way if you're grass measuring at all. But this is a service that's measuring grass by satellite. And I suppose in the past this has been attempted with like NDVI and cloud cover has been a serious issue in Ireland because you can't see the actual land in Ireland by satellite a lot of time with cloud cover. Like you might only get a couple of days in the month when it's suitable, but this can see through clouds, and we're told it's going to be very accurate. They are developing the model constantly, and they're using AI, so the model is getting more accurate as time goes on. But I suppose our Grassland Agro and Provi, we see potential synergy going forward. We have a lot of people on the ground. They have this service. You could possibly identify problem areas and fields, and they might be able to see that the grass isn't growing, but I suppose it still takes someone to go out in the ground and identify the cause of the problem. Could be pH, pK, compaction, maybe it's just a gravelly part of the field, but I suppose it's measuring the whole field now, whereas a grass walk is only looking at, I suppose, an aspect of the field or a small part of the field. So it's very exciting technology in fairness, and like a lot of talk of AI at the moment and what it can do and new technology. But I think this could be something that could become mainstream on grassland farms going forward.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Stephen. And even as you say, like if you're going out grass measuring, you might only be looking at a certain part of the field, where if you have a holistic view from the satellite, it's a lot more accurate, as you were saying. And it is getting a bit more popular as well. You see, like grass measuring companies linking up with Provi as well, such as Cork Grassland Services and Cavan, I think, as well. So it is fairly taken off, all right.
I
Um,
suppose a big part of it is labour requirement too, and I suppose a lot of grass walks maybe they're not done, just people haven't got the time.
mm.
So that's taken the time out of it as well.
Yeah, sure.
So
Like if you see the last 2 weeks, like the way grass has gone, and if you need to walk the farm every 3 or 4 days, and I don't know, like some farmers could have 300 or 400 acres to walk. Like, sure, that's a
mm,
day gone doing that. Like,
yeah, yeah, and as you say, the speed of growth, you're getting constant updates with this. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes. We're still in talks and seeing how exactly we're going to implement it. But watch this space, I suppose.
very good.
I suppose on the topic of grass, what's going on in farms at the moment, Clodagh?
Yeah. So as I was just saying there, I suppose the last, I suppose week 2 weeks, 10 days, grass has bounced just with the good weather last week. But I suppose on one sense it's great that grass has bounced, but it can sometimes be a bit of a hindrance this time of the year where grass is at its reproductive stage. It can be hard to, I suppose, juggle the grass and keep it at good quality for cows. So I suppose like last week we seen some farmers nearly growing up to was it 100 kilos of dry matter a day, which is huge. And I suppose at this stage we need to be walking the farm fairly regularly to make decisions. And I suppose it all comes back to your pre-grazing cover of 1,400 kilos of dry matter. If you're going into higher covers of 16, 1,700, there's a lot more stem, which is going to impact cow performance. And I suppose the problem with stem is it's reducing digestibility and it's limiting dry matter intakes because it's quite difficult for the cows to graze it, and it's limiting overall energy intake.
So
So
should we be looking at taking out bales of silage, perhaps, or what are you thinking?
yeah, so I suppose when you're walking your farm, keep an eye on farm cover. So it should be kept around 650 kilos of dry matter per hectare at the moment. And from that, then you can make your decisions. So if you keep an eye on growth versus demand as well. So if you've a higher growth rate and a lower demand, you need to increase your demand. So that's either taking out paddocks for bales. You could look at reseeding as well, or bringing on stock like heifers, or even I know some farmers are doing as well with kind of high stemmy covers, as they're actually leaving out calves to it as well, because I suppose the general advice there at the moment to alleviate the likes of summer scour is to get calves to graze kind of stemmy enough grass but not too much leaf. But you want a little bit of leaf in it as well so that it doesn't impact performance. But just to be mindful of the likes of coccidiosis and stuff as well, just to make sure calves are dosed. So look, there are different ways you can increase your demand. But like that, when grass is growing up to 100 kilos of dry matter a day, it's important to keep walking it because, you can run from a surplus to a deficit fairly quickly. But I suppose just a couple of key things just to keep an eye on is your rotation length to keep it between that 18 and 20 days. Pre-grazing cover of 1,400, average farm cover of 650, and your residuals are very important as well, for regrowth of good quality grass as well.
And what about the likes of topping versus primo, and like what are the pros and cons of doing either of them?
Yeah, it's a good question, Stephen. It's asked a lot, to be fair. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea, to be fair. Like if topping or primone is used to correct grass quality and not to replace, I suppose, good grass management techniques, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea. I suppose what we're trying to achieve is to get fresh leafy grass into the cow at covers of 1,400. But I suppose sometimes this doesn't always happen. So by using topping or primone, you're trying to get quality back into the grass for the next rotation. But I suppose with topping, you are going to stunt the grass for a little while, and pre-mown, I suppose cows are selective eaters, and I suppose with pre-mown they can't really select the grass. So if it is quite a heavy kind of stemmy cover, it can impact production as well. But look, as I say, some farmers won't have a choice in the matter. Look, it's just a matter of if it's used to, as I'm saying, if it's used to keep quality into the grass, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea.
And could you get away with it if you're managing your grazing rotation well enough, or is it just a matter of sometimes it will get away on you?
It all comes back to the covers they're going into. If they're going into 1,400 kilos of dry matter, and you have it done right, hopefully they graze it out and it's not too stemmy. But if you come to a situation, there's a lot of stem left over and your residuals aren't down around the 4 centimeters, you know, it's not a bad idea, I suppose, to come along with the mower and just nip that off. It'll pay off in the next rotation. But I suppose you're asking me about bales there as well, Stephen. I actually seen a good article in the journal. It was basically weighing up your options. Like, I suppose we've a lot of rain coming this weekend, and there are a lot of farmers that have paddocks taken out for bales. And basically, what the article was looking at is do you run the risk of cutting bales in wet weather? Is it a better financial option? So I suppose every farm is going to be different. You need to see where you're at, I suppose. But if you're in a position where bales need to be cut and you're under pressure for grass because ground is taken out for silage or reseeding, obviously, look, it's not ideal to cut them in wet weather. But the longer they're out of the grazing rotation, the longer you're going to be out of grass and the longer recovery that grass is going to need. You could run the risk into, having to feed more supplemented feed, which is obviously going to be a financial burden as well. So if you've ground taken out too long in a surplus, you could change into a deficit fairly quickly. And being in a grass deficit is much more of a financial burden. So I suppose you just need to weigh up your options, really, what works better for you. You were at a gold crop walk, you were telling me there, Stephen.
Yeah, it was
How did that go?
actually Irish Tillage and Land Use Society day. So it started in Goldcrop. Yeah, we got a tour of the plant, I suppose, down in Cork, and they were talking about the likes of their voluntary higher standards of seed certification, whether it's seed or cover crops.
And why would seed certification, why is that important?
I suppose it's particularly important, given that in recent years we've had more resistant grass weeds on tillage farms, and we have a declining amount of options in terms of herbicides to control them. So it's just absolutely essential that we're not sowing our own problems. And there was a lot of talk about it last year, cover crop seeds, because some of these cover crops, they're pre-mixed and they might have 5 or 6 different species in them. And if a farmer looks into a bag, they can't really pick out a weed species that was in there because there's so many different seeds that we're not familiar with. Um, and if we're sowing grass weeds, as I say, you're sowing your own problems, and like it's not really good enough. So I suppose Gold Crop are just emphasizing, as like they are one of the biggest seed assemblers in the country, if not the biggest, that they have a zero tolerance policy to the seeds that they're importing for these cover crops. That there's no blackgrass, sterile brome, and the likes of Italian ryegrass is a serious issue going forward. That was I suppose reassuring anyway, like that is their policy, and they gave us a good tour of the factory. We moved on then because it just wasn't about gold crop for the day. We moved on to a farm tour. It was Ricky and Robin Forrest, and they're out near Mogeely, and they were just, I suppose, a very efficient tillage farm, quite large scale, and they just kind of ran through how they run the farm. Very cost conscious, um, and like my own farm at home, we struggle for labour. So efficient machinery, the likes of a Mintill system, they had 3 ploughs and 3 tractors and obviously 3 drivers, and they moved to a Mintill system. So one man replaced 3 there, and um, that was interesting. It's a bit similar to what we're doing at home, is we can't get the labour, and they're just looking very closely at their fertilizer costs and maybe looking at P and K sources from like organic pig slurry and chicken manure. And but I suppose keeping in mind like there's a lot of extra work with that and the cost of transport, but they were on the ball with all their costs anyway. So that was impressive, and an interesting one I took away because I was kind of familiar with the Mintil system with organic manures, but I'd often thought about maybe utilizing more slurries like pig slurry. But they were saying how it's a little bit more challenging in a Mintil system if you're putting a high volume of slurry out on stubbles. And Mintil is kind of like Mintil after a few mil of rain because there's just such a volume of water. So that's something to be mindful as well. But that was the second aspect of the tour, and then we actually finished off in Middleton Distillery then. So that was very interesting to give you a tour of the old distillery. And
Did you taste any of
yeah,
the whiskey?
just a small drop now, only a nip, but it reminded me of my fourth year Ag Science Mystery Tour to Kilkenny. It sort of brought back traumatizing memories. So I didn't stay there for the evening. Whiskey is an acquired taste, I suppose they say, isn't it? And
Yeah, definitely.
I think you can lose the love of it too sometimes if drank incorrectly. But anyway, we'll move on from that. It was a great tour. Um,
Just before I suppose we wrap up, Stephen, is there any update on the crop side of things at the moment, or
yeah, sure. June is a great month for looking at crops. There's always a lot of crop days out on. I suppose from what I'm seeing around the roads, spring barley is probably the one that's still being managed. Um, a lot of them got their T1s now at this stage. I suppose the differences between them early and late sound, some of them are looking well, others maybe suffered a little bit with a dry time and are a bit thinner. And I think BYDV, there's quite a difference in the levels of that in spring barley. And what I'm gathering is that if the aphicide wasn't applied quite early, it seems to be a lot more BYDV in the spring barley crops. So I think that's hugely important going forward. Definitely no later than the 2 to 3 leaf stage. Obviously, there's nothing you can do about BYDV at this stage in the season for spring barley, but it's just something to be mindful of next year. Other than that, things to be watchful for is a few reports of yellow rust outbreaks in wheat, in winter wheat. So you might have to include something in your fungicide program at the T3 stage. And other than that, Septoria is not looking too bad in wheat. Maybe it'll kick off in the coming few weeks. But the rest of the winter crops, oats and rye are looking well. Maize, beet, spuds, they're all coming through nicely now. They're enjoying the bit of heat and a bit of rain. So I think yields should be fairly good to the harvest time. Probably mixed spring barley yields, but I think that's always the case. But happy enough on the how crops look in general.
very
So
good, very good.
I suppose that's kind of it for this week. Apologies for Clodagh's croaky voice. She was in Nashville after all.
Here, I'll be
She says it
finding
was
it
the
by next week.
aircon on the plane, but I don't know. I have my suspicions. There could have been other culprits. Sure. We'll round up there. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks.